Hello and welcome to video number 3 of the ATM tutorial. So far we have set up the HTML with the picture and the title, and we've set up a function called verify PIN that makes sure people entered the right PIN number. We left off by making a function called option menu, and now we're about to fill that out, which will be the vast majority of the assignment. Okay, so here we go. Inside this function, which by the way, if you remember, this function gets called when somebody puts in the right PIN. So this won't actually be called until this happens, which is why I coded them as functions like so. We're going to create a loop. We're going to say while done. Wait, remember we made a variable called done at the start and we made it equal to false. So we're going to say while done is equal to false, which should be the case at the start of this program. So while done is false, in other words, while the person is not done with the bank machine, then we're going to create our squiggly brackets, and we can see now that these squiggly brackets define the loop, okay, and these squiggly brackets show what's in the function. So the loop is in the function so far, and we want to do this as a loop so that somebody can do multiple transactions at the same time if they want. So we're now going to create a new variable inside the loop called input selection. And input selection is going to keep track of which transaction they want to do. I'm going to make this a parse int. You guys haven't seen this before, but parse int is a way to make sure that you're getting an integer value back, which 1, 2, 3, 4, nothing in between, no 1.3s or anything like that. We are going to prompt the user in this, open our brackets again, and we're going to prompt them to say, what would you like to do? Question mark there. Type 1 to check your balance. Type 2 to make a deposit. Type 3 to withdraw money. And type 4 to exit the ATM. So those are the possibilities of what somebody might want to do. After the quotations, you're going to want a comma. You're going to want something just kind of in that field. I'm just going to put a 0 so that people know that they're expected to type something there. Then we've got this bracket. Outside of this, it's a little bit different. You haven't seen this yet, but I'm going to put a 10 just to kind of show that it's a base 10 function here. And then I'm going to put the semicolon at the end. Don't worry too much if you understand what that 10 is about. So there we go. We've got a place for somebody to go ahead and enter some kind of selection, and that's going to get stored in the variable input selection. I can test that out so far to see if that is working. So if I go ahead and I type in the pin 1, 2, 3, 4, I now get the option to do one of those 4 things. Obviously, if I press something right now, it's not doing anything yet, right? Now, here's something that's interesting. You can see that no matter what I type, this isn't going away, and you're bound to kind of set up a scenario where you can't get out of the box that just kind of pops up, like even if you press cancel or OK. So I wanted you to see that, and the easiest way to kind of get out of that or to force it out is to go to a different tab. So press Control T if you need to, go to a different tab and come back, and the box kind of just goes away most of the time. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create some if statements inside of our while loop. And our first one is going to be if, and we're going to say input selection. So what happens if the person types the number 1? Okay, we need to tell it what's going to be inside the if statement. So inside the if statement, we are going to put an alert, and we're going to say your balance is, I'm going to put a space here too, so it leaves a space between the text and the actual balance return. Current balance is the variable that I want. That's currently how much money the person has, which remember we set to 0 at the start of that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my semicolon after that, and I've got my squiggly bracket, so that should be fine. Everything's still happy on the computer. I've got matching squigglies everywhere, and I just have that one if statement that works so far. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to copy that if statement a few times here. you might recall that I'm going to need 4 different if statements, one for each potential value. So what happens if somebody presses 2, 3, or 4? What do I want to do? Well, obviously, it's not going to be the same for each one. So I might as well get rid of the action that happens because they're going to be different. What I'm going to do instead, I actually want to code just number 1 and 4, and then maybe we'll leave off in this video and come back and do 2 and 3 after because they're a bit more involved. But if we take a look at number 4, the reason why I'm going to jump down and do 4 right away is that I want in section 4 to get away to get out of this loop. You might have noticed that before when I was testing this, I got that pop-up box that I couldn't get rid of. So now I want to go ahead and make sure I can actually get out of this. So again, we've seen that we could use alerts, and that's fine. I could use an alert. We've also used the document rights, so maybe we'll try that for this one. Document rights. And we're going to create with our brackets and our quotations. Thank you for using the ATM and have a nice day. Maybe please take your card. Okay, so that's the message that will show up for the user. Don't forget the semicolon. But we're also going to need to make sure that there's some way to get out of this loop, right? So the person's clearly done at that point. Remember, we have a variable called done. So at this point, I want under option 4 for that variable to change value. So now I'm going to say done is equal to true because the person is done. And that should hopefully get me out of the loop. Okay, so I'm going to check to see if just that much is working. I'm going to check to see if I can check my balance, and I'm going to check to see if I can actually get out of this loop. Okay, so wish me luck here as I press play. Welcome to the ATM. If I go ahead and enter the right PIN, it says what would I like to do. Let's go ahead and check my balance first. It says my balance is 0. That makes sense. And let's go ahead to type 4 to get out of this. And you can see that I got out, and it gives me this nice message. So far, I'm very happy with this. And again, anytime you're happy with it, don't just press the save button, but maybe also save a copy, save as, anytime you do something good, because the deeper you get, the more likelihood that you'll make some kind of error along the way. Always good to have different copies of your program, as I've been telling you for the last couple years here at Glen Ames. So in the next video, we're going to go ahead and tackle the 2 that have some equations involved. What happens if somebody deposits money? How do we make sure the balance is updated? And what happens if they withdraw money? And when they withdraw money, do they actually have enough money that they can withdraw? What happens if they try to withdraw more than they have? That's what we're going to get into the next video. So hope you enjoyed this video tutorial, and we'll see you again soon.